Hey everybody, I'm Dave.
And I'm Lisa.
And this is the first time, Lisa, that we have been together in the same room.
I
know. Filming the Herald in like a year.
Yep.
It's been a year. So now that we're both fully vaccinated.
Yes.
And it is exciting. So welcome everybody. We have some things to talk about.
We do.
Man, it's some exciting stuff. As not only are we regathering, our whole church has been regathering, and this has been like a long, slow process of getting everyone together. But this past week, we actually had this thing called Gatekeepers, and a lot we folks who are watching this were probably there.
It was so great to see so many of you. Yeah.
Man, it was great. Okay, so we need to talk a little bit. Let's just recap that real quick, because Steve had kind of three major points, kind of three movements, and I love what Steve said. He said, COVID took a year to get into. We're not going to get out in a week or two. This is going to be a long, slow process of rebuilding. Yeah. And I love what he also said. We're not going to rebuild this the same way it was, because the world's changed, we've changed, and we just want to be just better as a church. It's a different church. Even he said like 15-20% of the people who attend Westgate have moved out of the area. So this is just a weird thing. So let's talk about the three things that Steve kind of brought up.
So the first one was Regather, which is what we've started doing, starting Easter, really. And part of having Gatekeepers was to get our key leaders, you guys being a big part of that, together to hear from Steve and Dan and Jay and just be together to worship and all that. So let's tell the three. So Regather was the first one. What was the second one?
The second one was Reconnect, the idea that we have been apart, and we need to hear each other's stories and be together and learn from each other and just get back together, not to make the ties that we have, but to remember the ties and to just even now, it's like I've seen people and I'm like, how's this past year gone? And it's taken an hour and a half just to go through how this year's changed us and what's going on. It's going to take a while to reconnect and do that. So we want to reconnect. And to that end,
should we tell them about the third one?
We should tell the third one. Yeah.
Sorry. And then we'll go back to the second one. So the third one is about restore. And if I remember right, Steve was talking about once we kind of get settled in the regathering and in the reconnecting, and then we want to go after, if you will, and to restore those that have, for whatever reason, not engaged with Westgate as much as they had a year ago. And so really being intentional and kind of bringing back, as well as, new people as well, and just restoring who we are and what we're about.
Yeah, it's kind of like restoring our mission, restoring our sense of purpose, and also restoring folks around us. First, we have to kind of get healthy and get reconnected and re-engaged. But then we have to restore the mission, both in, we need to be Christ-like, and part of being Christ-like, of course, is just going after folks. And there's a lot of folks who are on the periphery or on their edges who didn't have strong relationships with us, with people, with the church, or even with God. And so those folks kind of spun out into orbit. And so it'd be nice. We really, I think we want to make sure and try to be intentional about getting those folks.
Exactly.
So
back to the second one, Reconnect. This is where you guys come in.
Yes.
Some of you may remember that. I was going to say last summer, but it wasn't last summer.
Isn't that crazy? 2 summers
ago. It is really, really crazy.
Anybody do that where it's like a whole year's gone in my memory? I'm like, oh, that was last year. And Nicole's like, that was 2 years ago. I'm like, oh. Yeah. It's just weird. Time is weird now.
So 2 summers ago, we did this thing called Meetups, where we would just go do something that we enjoyed doing, invite other people to come along. And we made those events that we did known to church-wide public, and anybody could sign up for any of them, like hiking or golfing or days at the park, etc. So we're going to do that again this summer, and we as staff are each taking 2 different times where we're going to be intentional in leading one of those meetups. And the meetup is just really an opportunity to reconnect with people. It is not, I use the word event, it's really not an event. It's just let's go do whatever we want to do and talk about whatever we want to talk along the way and build relationships.
We had when we had a conversation about this as staff, we had a pretty low win bar. And the win bar is Westgate people hanging out together. That's it.
a good way to put it.
It's just reconnect, share conversation. Some people will go deeper. You've got some relationships. You're like, hey, how's this year been? That's a great question. What have you learned? What are you struggling with right now? What's the biggest pressure points? But sometimes it's just being together and remembering the joy of what it means to be together. And so we're really going to focus on that too.
So we're going to ask you guys, as our life group leaders and shepherds, to pray about possibly leading one of those groups. And that just means, if you're going to go with your family to a Vasona one day, and you can schedule it out a couple weeks in advance and let us know. There's a form that we'll send you that you can fill out and let us know. Then that will go on our website, and they'll directly contact you and say, hey, we'd love to come and, hang with your family and get to know some other families. So that type of a meetup, we'd love to have you be a part of. Meetups are going to be June 6th through July 31st. So really
pretty
all
much
June and July.
June and July is the summer months. That's when we're focusing.
Yeah, so you can read more about that down below. We'll have a section on meetups and a form that you can fill out if you'd like to be a part of that.
There's one more thing that we want to get you kind of a save the date, a little bit of mark your calendar. And that's coming out of this. It's just been a challenging season. So we're going to have kind of a 2-day conference isn't the right word. A gathering conference. It is kind of a conference where we are going to have some intentional teaching and some folks come in to really examine the question of what does it look like for us to be Westgate, to be the church post-COVID. It's going to be intentional training. We've got Joshua Ryan Butler, who's a fantastic theologian coming in, and Nancy Ortberg is going to be here, kind of the lessons. And we're going to be focusing on a couple of things that we think are going to be critical for the future. More on this later. But number one, emotional health. Obviously, this has been a huge issue. Number two, theological depth, being really people who are thoughtful Christians. And then lastly, servant leadership. This is where our world really kind of falls apart in these three areas. And this is where we want to, as Christians, be all that we can be all that Jesus has called us to be emotional health, theologically deep, and then servant leaders, not taking leaders, not narcissistic leaders, which of course ties to emotional health. This is all about formation. This is all about spiritual formation, what it means to be formed into the person of Christ, which is the mandate of us. We are following the way of Jesus. That's what 640 is all about. We want to become more like Jesus. So we're really excited. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be deep. It's going to, and it's for you. It's for all of us to gather and remember the mission, remember what we're about, that this is all about becoming like Jesus, and then some practical, really awesome ways that we can be shaped and formed into Christ. So that's the conference. When's the conference again? The conference is June 25th and 26th. It's a Friday night, Saturday morning conference. And so Friday night, Saturday morning. So those of you with kids, We'll have all sorts of stuff. We'll work that out. More details to come, but mark that on your calendar, June 25th and 26th, the 2-day conference. And I think that's going to be catalytic. Yeah. I think it's going to be, and just awesome. It was so fun to be together at Gatekeepers. Yeah. I'm excited for what that will be. And this conference, if I'm correct, is in some ways taking the place of what used to be Summer Labs. So we're really going to encourage you to let your people know about it too and invite them so that we all have this opportunity. Yeah, we all kind of want to be together for one thing. It's almost a little visiony, it's really exciting. So we're excited about that. Is there anything else? I think it's enough. That's enough. All right. So thanks for sticking with us through all that. It's been a while since we've been together. So meetups and then the conference on June 25th and 26th. Meetups pretty much all June and July. Yeah. And we're excited. We are. And thank you in advance for saving the date for the conference, being a part of that, and also for prayerfully considering how you might lead a meetup. It's like an hour and a half. It's not a big thing, but it really is going to help us with our value of reconnecting. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, we look forward to reconnecting with you guys soon, and we will talk to you later. Yeah. All right, you guys. Bye. Take care.